Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Today, I will show you the recap of a 2015 science fiction film titled The Martian. As always, spoiler alert, watch out, and take care. The movie opens with a vast scenic view of Acidalia Planitia, a zone on planet Mars. A crew of 6 from NASA are on an exploration mission after setting up their camp known as the Hab. Inside the Hab are Beth and Johansson, who monitor communications and general updates. Outside, the team's commander, named Lewis, is taking soil samples alongside 2 other astronauts, Mark Watney and Vogel. The team has created a strong bond and occasionally makes jokes as they go about their business. Suddenly, their smooth experience is cut short when a strong storm is recorded heading towards them. They head inside the Hab to check it out. They realize the storm is strong enough to tip their MAV over. Since spaceships are aligned vertically for takeoff, their MAV falling would make it impossible for them to launch. To avoid the danger of being trapped on Mars, Commander Lewis orders for an immediate evacuation. They all step out of the Hab, headed towards the MAV, but the storm has already hit. The situation worsens when flying debris hits Mark Watney, who is then blown away by the strong wind. His decompression alarm goes off, after which his suit signal goes offline. A decompressed suit translates to going away in a minute due to the low pressure of Mars. Although the commander is adamant about finding him, it dawns on them that Mark may have been dead for a long time. With the MAV on the verge of tipping over, they have no choice but to leave to join the larger ship called the Hermes to begin their long journey home. On Earth, NASA's director, named Sanders, gives a statement about the ordeal, saying they had to abort the mission. As he takes questions from curious journalists, the scene cuts back to Mars. Surprisingly, Mark survived the hit and is slowly regaining consciousness. He gets up, but notices that some of the debris is stuck to him. Ironically, it saved his life by preventing decompression that would have otherwise have been fatal. He slowly makes his way to the Hab, where he removes it and stitches the wound with staples. He then goes to his journal to key in data about his current condition. With no way to contact NASA, combined with the risk of starvation, he is aware of his slim chances of survival. The next mission to Mars, known as Ares 4, will be carried out 4 years later. Counting the food, he realizes that it can only last him about a year. His last resort is to grow food on the planet where nothing grows. As an optimist, he convinces himself that he will not die on Mars. Luckily, he is a botanist by profession, which gives him an edge as he knows a lot about plants. Among his food items were potatoes, but he decides to plant them instead of consuming them. He gets right to work when he collects their organic waste from their vacuum toilet, planning to use it as fertilizer. Later, he cleans up the solar panels to keep the energy flow in check. It takes him 2 days to create a kind of greenhouse inside the hall using canvas. He then ferries Mars's soil inside and spreads it ready for planting. This takes him 7 days, and finally, he plants these potatoes. However, a challenge arises due to the need for water to irrigate them. This is not hard for him, since he didn't sleep in his chemistry lessons. Using hydrazine fuel in the MDV they landed on earlier, he passes it over iridium catalyst he finds in bolts. This splits the fuel into nitrogen and hydrogen, which he then burns into air to produce water. On day 54, he is mesmerized when he notices germinating seedlings. Back on Earth, people hold his funeral while acknowledging his hard work and sacrifice. In the next cut, NASA's Mars mission director, Vincent, alongside Miss Parker from Mission Control, notices something unusual. While comparing satellite photos on current Sol 54 with those of Sol 18, the evacuation day, they notice a significant change. The solar panels have since been cleaned, and the vehicle used to move around, named Rover, has changed its position too. Convinced he is alive, Vincent gives a press release assuring that they are doing everything that they can to bring him home. In Mars, Mark outlines a long-term plan to find a way to reach Ares 4 in 4 years' time when the next crew will land. With his rover only covering 35 kilometers before being recharged, he realizes it won't be easy to cover the 3,200 kilometers to Ares 4. He then picks a second battery from a broken rover, which boosts his supply. He also realizes that he can cut energy consumption by half by turning off the rover's heater. However, he still needs heat to survive the cold Mars temperature. He resorts to using the otherwise dangerous radioisotope thermoelectric generator, which they had earlier buried. It contains plutonium used in atomic bombs, which can prove fatal if triggered, but Mark takes the risk. Back at NASA, Director Sanders offers to tell Mark's crew of his survival once there is a proper plan to evacuate Mark. There is a plan to send a probe with necessities to Mars to keep Mark fed until the arrival of Ares 4. They get in touch with Bruce from Jet Propulsion Laboratories, who vows to lead his team to prepare the probe. On Mars, it's day 79, and Mark harvests his grown potatoes while replanting the smaller ones. Though he is happy, he knows it's all useless if he doesn't find a way to communicate with NASA. His passion for space exploration saves the day as he recalls a machine sent to Mars back in 1997 which lost contact. With the help of scanners in the hab, he sets out to find a machine called the Pathfinder. Miss Parker notices his movement and alerts Vincent, who, through projections, understands Mark's plan. Immediately, he boards a plane and heads to Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, to meet Bruce and the crew that operated Pathfinder. Mark on the other side finds it and later loads it using cranes from the rover and heads back. As he sets it up, Vincent team sets up the Pathfinder transmitter, which was set up to receive data from the one on Mars. Finally, the machines link up and Mark notices a small camera in the machine, which takes single pictures. He quickly writes a yes-no question of whether they can spot him, and when they point the camera on the yes, Mark is, for once, overjoyed. Using hexadecimal to receive instructions, he is guided by the team and hacks the rover and connects it to Earth's Pathfinder's frequency. This way, communication gets much easier, but things get hot when Mark is informed that his crew hasn't been updated on his survival yet. This prompts Hermes' flight director, named Mitch, to send a video to the crew, who had been traveling for 4 months. He delivers the information immediately, and this leaves the commander torn as she feels guilty for leaving him behind. However, the team consoles her, saying they all left him together. Back on Mars, things head south when the hab's entrance malfunctions and blows up, leaving Mark's headgear broken. He remains calm as he tapes it despite warnings about critical oxygen levels. Although he survives, his plans do not due to the harsh Martian conditions. This prompts Sanders to limit Bruce's timeline and decides to send a probe without inspection. Meanwhile, Mark's crew is linked to him and they afford to put a smile on his face with their jokes. This offers him strength and he embarks on the hab's repair. We then cut to a new scene where we see a guy named Rich, who works in astrodynamics. He is seemingly disorientated, but from a closer look, one can easily notice traces of genius in him. His boss wakes him at 3 AM to send the probe's course. Rich informs him that the probe will take 414 days to reach Mars due to the bad orientation between the two planets. Suddenly, an idea seems to strike him, but he doesn't talk about it, but mentions that it's easier. We cut to Mark, who was on day 154, rationing his food to stay alive while he waits for the supplies. Back on Earth, the probe is launched successfully, but things go south when it blows up shortly afterward. This doesn't sit well with Mark, as Death's reality starts coming into focus. He asks the commander to find his parents and talk about their experience. However, he adds that he hasn't given up, but only prepared for every outcome. Unknown to everyone, Rich has done calculations and boards a plane to meet Vincent. He is introduced to the boards and uses a simple illustration to explain his theory of using Hermes to save Mark. When it gets close to Earth, it will not slow down as planned, but will make a turn using Earth's gravity to change the course and accelerate towards Mars. As it does so, a probe with necessities will intercept it. On getting close to Mars, it will make a second turn to return to Earth while Mark intercepts it using the MAV. Since NASA sends its supplies early, the MAV for Ares 4 is already on Mars, and Mark can use it to intercept Hermes. Rich has done his math, and it all checks out. The solution is good, but this will increase the crew's travel time by 533 days. Along with the risk of death, Sanders declines as he chooses to bring home 5 rather than risk losing all 6. However, Mitch is different and says that the decision will be made by the crew themselves. He works with Rich as they send the navigation details to the crew to determine. This is where we get to experience the strength of the bond as they unanimously agree to go back for their boy despite the risks. In Mars, it's day 219, and Mark starts to prepare for his journey to Ares. On Earth, the probe is successfully launched with the help of China's space agency and successfully attaches to Hermes. 7 months later, Mark, who has since felt the effects of rationing, prepares to go to the Schiaparelli crater, where he will find the MAV. He stops regularly for his rover to recharge, using the solar panels before continuing. Meanwhile, Vincent meets Bruce to hear his plan for Mark's ascent. The MAV was designed to reach low Mars orbit. Since Hermes won't enter Mars, the MAV will also have to move outside Mars. To achieve this, the MAV will have to lose weight for it to acquire speed. As bad as it sounds, Vincent is informed that the MAV will be deprived of everything including the nozzle, which will be replaced by the canvas from the hab. Bruce convinces him that the canvas will hold since Mars' atmosphere is thin. He adds that before the ship can acquire much speed to push it off, there will be no air, thus damage won't be fatal. The ship will be operated by Martinez from the Hermes, leaving Mark to suffer the consequences in case things go wrong. However, Mark has no option but to do it, and go on as planned. Meanwhile, Commander Lewis prepares her team for the exercise. We then see a massive crowd outside NASA's premises as they catch up with the proceedings. Finally, Mark receives instructions from the team, and feels emotional about their sacrifices. Mav is launched by Martinez and throttles up. Later on, the canvas is blown out, and Mark passes out shortly afterward. The team suffers a problem as Mark's ship doesn't get to the required altitude. This forces them to burn fuel to get closer to him, and luckily, Mark regains consciousness. A second hiccup arises as their intercept velocity is too high. Using Newton's third law of motion, the team quickly sets up a bomb to block the vehicular airlock, which produces a thrust to reduce Hermes' speed. Once that is resolved, a second problem arises, as their distance from Mark's ship becomes great. Mark, for his part, suggests that he puncture his suit and use the air as a thrust to move toward them. Although it sounds bad, Mark jokingly adds that he would fly like Iron Man. The commander exits while strapped to get him, but still doesn't close the gap. With no choice, Mark decides to go Iron Man, and after an uneven attempt, he manages to control it. He flies towards her and almost slips off, but manages to hold on to the strap. Finally, he is saved, and there is a joyous celebration everywhere. However, his ribs have been broken due to the pressure he suffered in the MAV. This causes him to suspend active space exploration. In the final scene, Mark is coaching future astronauts, as he makes it clear that problem solving is key in this unpredictable career. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for even more videos just like this. And if you have a movie you'd like us to recap, let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.